Alright, so Shalom. First and foremost, start off by saying Baruch Thom, Yahweh Shem Shah. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shout out to the whole elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom. Alright, so, this is on my spirit. I was watching the elders sit down. They ain't never necessarily, let's not sit down or count. I ain't necessarily mention nothing, but this is on my spirit because, me and the brothers, we had a talk yesterday, just want to know how tight this, don't get weary at the end, right? And I feel like as we was speaking, we was talking about how, that in these last days, temptation gonna come, heavily, right? Especially amongst those, those ones who in the faith, that's to say, the sincere, the hopefully elect, in a sense, right? Because none of us know we surely make it, but we give diligence to make our call election sure we put in the work, behind how about our shot name, and like like Elder Pastor Hardy mentioned this, I can't think how long it was ago, he was just talking about it, just saying, that would, to give us a great chance, and those elect going to show, right? Matter of fact, let's go to 2 Ezra 16. Matter of fact, we can start with that, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna start in Book of Sirach chapter 2 first, just read verse 1, then we're gonna go to 2 Ezra 16, right? But this is Ecclesiastes 2, Book of Sirach 2. Another point, even Apostle Hardy, he's telling you how we, 2 Ezra 15 and 16 is going down in a sense right now, So we know in the chapter 6 we're gonna get to, we're gonna know that great tribulation, that insurrection gonna come upon those men of Yahweh Shem Shah, right? But this book Sirach 2, verse 1 says, "My son, thou come to serve the..." Let's turn this down. Right. It says, "My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation," right? So that temptation is gonna come in these last days, right? It's gonna come heavier than you would expect, in a sense, right? Let's go to 1 Timothy 4 in verse 1, right? It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times, and we're in those latter times, as the elders speaking of the account, we at the end of the end. Yahweh Shah coming on the scene was the beginning of the end. Now we at the end of the end, right? That's a title that's less for another day. Going into Obadiah, they talk about how they tried to out their nest, but they never stepped on the moon. But when you understand that the Spirit will show you certain things of how, what was that, 1969, when they quote unquote went on the moon, whatever they did, thing as such, the truth came out a year after the 1970s, right? So it's just showing you that we at the end of this thing, right? And Esau been declining ever since. And right now we at the end of the end, to where we know a lot of times to where prophecy being fulfilled, and we very close to being delivered. Romans 13 and 11. Our salvation is nearer than we believe. Another one, Revelation 12, right? Revelation 12 and 10, right? It says, "And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, the kingdom of our power, and the power of his anointing. For the accused of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night." Right? Esau, they're our accusers, put that food in front of our face with all these iniquity and sin in front of Jake's face, then point at him. Right? What is Habakkuk? What is that, Habakkuk 2? I want to say about 14, verse 14, 15, get them wine and get them, force the cup to them, then try to point at their nakedness. Oh, look what they doing. Look how they living, right? It says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, Yahweh Shah, and the word of their testimony, the spirit of prophecy," right? "They love not lives to death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea. For the devils come to you, having great wrath, because he knows he hath but a short time." Because we're at the end of the end. But this devil is going to come with that great wrath, because he know that, he had a short time. He know that we at the end of this thing. We're at the end of the end, right? So with Satan trying to ramp up, you got the spiritual demon of doubt, and you got Esau, Edom, as well, the physical sons and daughters of Satan, with Satan trying to ramp up in all his ways, we got to be on that point. We got to remain focused. This is around the time, this is clutch time. as I was explaining to the brothers yesterday, it's like when you run the lap, we all run the race. Matter of fact, let's grab that. Right here, book of 1 Corinthians. Like, I was reading some other precepts that had it too. I was going to bring them out, but 1 Corinthians 9:24, it says, "Know ye not that they which run a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain it." Right. So we in this race, right? And we running so we may obtain it. But it's like when you taking a lap. At the beginning of the lap, you get out strong. You running. Those who ever run track or whatnot, you running that first lap. You in that 400 meters, you getting strong. You running. And you hit around 200 meters, your legs start to get shaky, right? When you get walking around that 200 meter mark, around that last 100 meter stride, you having to give everything you got to finish. Your body feel like you want to stop. You tired as you can be. You feel like you can't push yourself. No, that's where we at with this race. That's where we at in this race. We at the end of this thing. We right on that last 100. We right on that last 100 meters of this 400 meter race, man. In a sense, using it as an analogy, right? We had the last 100 meters, man. So this run the time. During that time, you run tracks where you got to stand straight up. You got to, you got to work your technique, take your deep breaths, great arm pump, and you got to push yourself. You can't think about being tired. You can't think about being, exhausted. You can't think about how your legs get weak. You can't think about none of that. You got to finish. You got to remain focused on the end goal and finish. And that's the same thing with this truth. We can't get weary. Speaking to myself as well, we can't get weary at the end. One count went into, I was going into discipline, man. I mean, not one count, one sit now. I was going into discipline. We got to maintain discipline. Discipline is one of the key things in it. You got to keep your eyes focused, and you got to run. You got to continue to run, because once you start getting sidetracked, that's when things start slowing you down, when things start grabbing you back, right? And for us in these last days, right, let's go back to 2 Timothy. Right? Before we go back to the second edge. And that's in these last days, we got to understand that those righteous men, y'all temptation, that's that test. The Most High got to see. Most High got to see if we really rocking. You can say you in this thing, you can say you rocking with Yahweh, but this around the time where you going to see food gets scarce, right? Prices going up high, right? With all type of things, it's going to get harder and harder. This world is finna suffer, right? In a sense, we're going to suffer fleshly, but in the spirit, we understand what's going on, right? That's why we gotta maintain in the spirit. And the spirit, we're gonna know what's going on. In the spirit, we're gonna know that, hey, this what was gonna come into the world. Matter of fact, we're gonna grab that as well. Let's finish this 2 Timothy, right? While the spirit lead me to these precepts. And I don't wanna, not 2 Timothy, 1 Timothy, right? 4:1, right? It says, "Now the spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times, right, some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of the devil." And that's what it is, those seducing spirits, tricking you up, grabbing you up, trying to get you to fall out. Temptation, all type of ways, trying to, me and the brothers also speaking on how, lust, Satan to try to get you, and all the lust he know that he can get you in, everybody having their own battles, but Satan to try to get you in your weakness. That's why Paul said, "What I boast in my infirmities," I'm praying on that a lot lately. How about y'all shall allow me to strengthen my weaknesses, man. In the ways that, because Satan tried to get you at those weak points. Satan tried to put you at a vulnerable point. Look what he did to Job. He tried to take everything away from Job, make Job hurt in the worst way, to make Job go against the Most High. But Job never went against him. Because we understand the suffering and things we go through, is meant for us. That's why Yahweh came and showed us, right? Yahweh obtained obedience through suffering, Scripture tells us, right? So that's what we got to understand, that suffering is part of it. That feeling down, that feeling, and like the brother, I know his page, Remnant Sage 144. He did a lesson a while back. He was speaking on this, that how, in the flesh, in the flesh, you're gonna have those days where you wake up, but in a sense, you can't get, we at the end, we at the end of this thing. This one we gotta push the hardest, right? This 1 Timothy 4:1 in NLT real fast says, "Now the Holy Spirit tells us clearly that in the last times, which we in now, some will turn away from the true faith. They will follow deceptive spirits and teachings that come from demons," right? So you got to remain focused in the end, because these seducing spirits, these temptations, spirits of demon of doubt, going to try to get you in all type of ways. That's why now we got to build ourselves up. We got to build ourselves up through the faith. That's our strength. Remember, now it's come our strength of salvation, which is read Revelation 12:10, right? So let's go to Revelation 3. in verse 10, right? Right? It says, this is how it's talking, right? It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, right? I'll also keep thee from the hour of temptation, right? Which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So this temptation is going to come upon all the world, right? It said, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast what thou hast, that no man take thy crown, right? You know, he said, him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my power, and he shall go no more out. I will write upon him the name of my power and the name of the city of my power, which is New Jerusalem, the kingdom of Yahweh Shah, which is coming down out of heaven from my power, and I will write upon him my new name. You know, so understanding that this temptation will come upon to try the whole world, right? And these times you're gonna have. That's why we understand that. You know, I did lesson yesterday to understand. You know, we're not ignorant of Satan devices. Order ab KO. We understand that he's gonna try to take this chaotic situation and force his new world order to make it seem like it's peace. Oh, if you take this trip, everything will be good. If you take this trip, everything will be exactly what we needed to be. You'll be able to get gas, you'll be able to get food, this and that. You know, because the scriptures tell us, right, Revelation 6 and 5, and I like how it explains in the NLT, right, that how, you know, it's gonna get so bad, you know, it's gonna get so bad that, you know, it's gonna cost a whole day. One meal gonna cost a whole day's pay, right? This is Revelation 6 and verse 5, right, in NLT, right? It's like it, verse 6, it's like it, Revelation 6 and 6. Right? It says, I heard a voice from among the four living beings say, a loaf of wheat bread or three loaves of barley will cost a day's pay, and don't waste the olive oil and the wine. Right? So we knowing that things gonna get harsh, things gonna get bad, you know, and not even just with this with that. You're gonna have these seducing spirits, these things trying to trick you up and grab you, you know, trying to deteriorate your mind and make you unfocused in a sense, right? Remember, most I say, scripture say, I be single. It's gonna try to get you to focus and look into all these other ways. Remember, this ain't nothing but darkness around us. We keep our eyes single, focus on the truth, how about Yahweh. That's how we stay full of the light, man. You know, the knowledge, understanding. But as soon as you start getting sidetracked, start getting caught up in this, start getting caught up, and it's gonna come in all type of ways, man. So make you feel like you need to get more money, or you gotta go do this, whether it be a job, whether it be a female, no matter what it be. You're going to have these temptations trying to trick you and deceive you up. Satan going to try to get you, right? That's just a precept. This is a precept. Luke 22, right? Let Satan desire to have you, come. Luke 22 and 31, right? It says, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, this is how y'all talking. Behold, Satan has desired to have you to sift, that he may sift you as wheat. Right? He said, but I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. So you got to pray. That's why Yahushua said what? Right? Let's go to Matthew 26 and 41. Right? He say, Matthew 26 and 41. Right? He said, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. So we move through the spirit. You got to get focused on the spirit. And these last days, you're going to have, this flesh is weak. The Satan going to try to trick you and deceive you up through the flesh. You know? He's going to try to make you fall in love with the desires of the flesh. You know? But we got to stay focused on the spirit these last days and stay strong. You can't get weary at the end, man. And you can't feel like, you know, what you done before time account. Nah, you gotta, hey, Yahushua say what? He that endured to the end. Right? That work you put in those times for and you lose it now, hey, it don't matter. You win the whole race, and then next thing you know, we get to last 100 meters, and you start slacking. Hey, them guys, they coming to pass you. You know? What you say? 1 Corinthians 9:24 again. Run the race that you may obtain, man. You know? Right? So let's go to 2nd Esdras 16. Right? Start around verse 69, if I'm not mistaken. Now, starting at verse 70, right? 2nd Esdras 16 to 70, you're going to see how, you know, just how the elect gonna show in these end times, man. Those ones who stand focused, the ones who stand strong, the ones who don't get weary in the end. They're gonna show, right? So let's take Esdras 16 and verse 70. It says, but there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Right? Because the hopefully elect, we're gonna go through it in a sense the most, right? You know, before it's that time. Of course, Yahweh Shem Shai going to provide for us and going to make sure we're good. But this around the time, they're going to try to come at us the most. So they're going to try to get us the most because they want to take down the temple. They want to take down the righteous men of Yahweh Shem Shai. That's how they feel like they can destroy us. Remember, these are the men who showing Esau Edom he's weak. These are the ones who are going to see that first dominion in the kingdom. These are the ones who speak the downfall of this place, speaking into existence through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. These are the men they want to get rid of, right? Because these are the men who are exposing their plan, their game plan. You know, we know their whole playbook. So they want to come hard on these men. They want to come hard on the men of Yahweh Shem Shai. And Yahweh Shem Shai is going to allow them to, right? They're going to come hard on the whole world, you know? And they're going to come with things and ways. Also, not only is them going to come, once again, the spiritual demon doubt going to come as well. Going to try to trick you up and deceive you. Make you seem like, you know, they use family members, right? All type of things. It's going to be all type of temptation, you know? All type of temptation, all type of bribery to try to make you slip up. You know, as the brother who was talking, the brother Kagan Gabar, you know, he said, strong message, he said, you know, remember, this scripture tells how this is a narrow, in 2 Ezra 7, it's a narrow passage. Like fire to the left, deep water on the right, you know. Satan gonna try to push you left to right to try to knock you off that path, but you gotta remain focused because you gotta understand, they ain't left and right, so it ain't much room for error, man. Especially on these last days, we at the end, and not much room for error. You know, in these last days, you fall into a lesson, and you damn near gonna stay there. You know, you damn near gonna stay there. Ultimately, you of that hope elect, you how about Shem Shai, you know, you gonna overcome. You know, and that's why we gotta get. We can't just say, you can't just say I'm the elect. That's all you call. That's why, you know, the elders always say we call it the hopefully elect. You know, there's the election, but we pray we of that election. That's why we call it the hopefully elect. Because we hope that we of the elect. You can't just say you already made it. Of course we giving works, but we understand it's not even no works. The elect been already founded for the worlds he made, so we got to run this race. We got to strive, we got to push, we got to put in the work. You know, before the big race started, we already trained and putting in work, studying day in day out, building our strength up through the faith, right? Because now we at this last 100 meters. Now this around the time where we got to put it all together. You know what I'm saying, right? And now it's at the time where we got to put it all together to remain focused, right? Verse 71, it says, they shall be like madmen sparing none, but spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, right? Because they're going to be, take this trip where I'm going to kill them. Take the trip where I'm going to kill your family. Take the trip I'm going to kill your kid. Take the trip where you're going to do this and that. Take the trip you can't come to work no more. Take this trip where we taking your car. Like, they're going to come, they're going to do all type of things, and we ready for it, right? Whatever come with it, we ready for it, right? It says, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out, but cast out their houses. And the reason we harken so much on the chip, because like the elder said, that's down in the last prophecy we waiting on. We know once that chip get mandated, we can tell you, we can't just say, hey, it's gonna be 2 days after. Now we telling you, once that through the spirit of power, by Shem Shai, once that MOTB mandated, that mark of the beast, the R5D chip, once it's mandated, the World War III is gonna ramp up in all type of stages. You know, I was watching a breakdown, Ezekiel 38. Well, we still gonna go into that soon. Elder Pastor Rumline called it, you know, like it's this the way in. You know, you got to promote them. Right now the Most High is promoting the fight. This the way in. They the way in. You know, everybody, you know, the way in with boxers, they chop it up. They be arguing and face to face and doing all that talking. I'm gonna knock you out. You got beat up. Yeah. So it's the way in right now. Everybody chirping at the mouth. Right, Most High promoting the fight, letting you know, showing you these signs and wonders, showing you that these things should surely come to pass, right? And we know, and that signs and wonders show when these things will come to pass. We know the end gonna fully be we at the end of the end, and when this thing gonna fully throttle down, right? That MOTB, that New World Order, that digital system enforced on the world, right? That's when Esau Edom is gonna receive a great judgment. World War III, Yahweh Shai and the chariots coming, right? You know, World War III ain't gonna ramp up fully. So it might calm down right now in a sense, but we know it ain't gonna go away. They just gonna calm it down so they can enforce that system. And right when they do that, it's gonna ramp right back up, right? But let's finish this off, right? It says, then, verse 73 is the point, right? It says, for then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in a fire. So then they're going to be known who are the chosen Yahweh Shem Shai. Because when these things come, these are the men who didn't get weary in the end. These are the men who are going to remain focused, going to endure all the suffering, going to endure all the pain, going to endure all the hardship, going to do whatever come with this truth, going to do whatever come with standing behind the name of Yahweh Shem Shai, going to do whatever come with. Because remember, He said you should, all these things should come upon you. Let's grab that. All right. This was on my spirit, man, to go into this, you know. Let's see. Bear with me. All these things. Okay. Yeah, John 15 to 21. Okay, John 15 to 21. It wasn't trying to come up, right? But this John chapter 15 and verse 21. Right, let's see. Let's see where we're going to start at. Right, we'll start at verse 20. Right? It says, remember the word. This is how Shattok's in red. John 15, starting at verse 20. It says, remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. Right? So all these things they're going to do unto these chosen men for the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. That's why he told them in Matthew 10, right, when he sent the 12, into Samaria to go talk to the Israelites. Right? He sent them to go talk to those, when he sends those Gentiles, he said, I'll read verse 5, just give you a sense. Verse 5 and 6 to give you what's going on, right? It says, these 12 Yahweh sent forth to make no saying, go into the way of the Gentiles and into any city of the Samaritans, into you not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, right? Because during that time, when you understand the St. Kings, you still had some Israelites in that land. When Solomon brought all those people into that land, So you had Israelites who was just out state of mind that was amongst the other nations. It was lost. So Yahweh told the 12, go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, right? Going to the way of these people, because you had a lot of people in Samaria. They had our people, Northern Kingdom, was taking captives of the Samaritans. A lot of them left and traveled over here to the Americas, but you still had some in that land. He's telling them to go into them, right? Once again, that's when he brought all those people into the land, right? So we're gonna jump down to verse 16, right? It says, behold, right? Matthew 10 and 16 says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpent, harmless as dove. That's why we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, right? One of El Apostle Gabar quotes, he says, right, to be truly learned, you got to be as a serpent. So we know his ways, know his tactics. So we're not ignorant of his devices, we're not ignorant of his plans, we're not ignorant of his schemes, right? It says, but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues, and you shall be brought before governors, right, and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles, right? It says, but when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak, right? For it is not you that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. I'll read to you NLT where you can understand what it's saying. Don't trip. Don't trip by what you're gonna say. Don't trip by what you're gonna do, right? Because this when they take you up, it's gonna be the time for you to speak. It's gonna be the time for you to boast in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They got us in that guillotine, you yelling out. Show no, we ain't tripping. And this is all for Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Y'all see, we showing you example. They want to hurt man with this name, with this truth. They gotta be something to you. They gotta be a sign to you, man. Right? This Matthew 10, verse 16 on down in NLT says, look, I'm sending you out as a sheep among wolves, so be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves. But beware, but you will be handed over to the courts, and you will be flogged with whips in the synagogues. You will stand trial before governors and kings because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell the rulers and the other unbelievers about me. That's why when it says Gentiles in verse 18, it says a testimony against them and the Gentiles, referring to the Israelite foreigners, right? But this said, but this will be your opportunity to tell the rulers and other unbelievers about me, right? And this when that time. But you're gonna have a lot who go against Yahushua. You're gonna have a lot what he told Peter. He told Peter he gonna reject them 3 times. But you're gonna have a lot who do that. But in this time you ain't, but then this time those elect, remember, he said, then that's how you know who I chose, because them are the ones who gonna stand firm. Do whatever you gotta do, Esau. You're gonna have a lot of them Judas run around, those ones crept underwear. As soon as the shit hit the fan, they get weary at the end. Right? So as soon as shit get the fan, they weren't really built up in the strength and power of the faith we have by seeing outside. So as soon as it get hot, they gon' hey, nah, hey, I do whatever you do, I do whatever you say. I ain't trying to die for this, But we had the mindset of Yahushua, man. Hey, we ready to, if this cup's not past me, let it be fulfilled. Right? Verse 19 says, when you are arrested, don't worry about how to respond or what to say. Yahweh will give you the right words at that right time. For it is not you who will be speaking. It will be the Spirit of your Father speaking through you, man. Right? So there's going to be a lot going on, but you're going to see during this time the elect are those ones who are going to stay strong. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra 73 again, right? 2nd Ezra 16:73. I don't know what I just said, but I hope I said 2nd Ezra 16:73, right? It says, then shall they be known who are my chosen. They shall be tried as gold in the fire, man. So this is what we're going to face. We're going to face adversity. What it says, Most High has given us adversity for drink, affliction for food, in a sense, really paraphrasing. So this was supposed to happen to us. This was supposed to come upon us. Remember, these all things going to do it to us for the name of Yahushua. So at the end of this thing, you can't get weary, man. You can't fold. You got to remain strong. And you got to understand that Yahushua going to deliver you. Remember, at that time, you ain't even got to worry, because Yahushua going to speak for you. Whatever you need to do, whatever you need to say, Yahushua through the Spirit going to give you what to do or say. We just said it. It ain't going to be you that speaks. The Spirit of the Father will speak a thing, really paraphrasing. Right? So let's go from there. Let's go to Hebrews 6. Right? A couple more precepts. Real fast. I won't try to make no long one, but hey, this was on my spirit heavy, man. Go during these times, man, we got to maintain discipline. We got to stay strong. Discipline, strength, consistency, commitment, man. Through the Spirit of power, Yahushua. We got to stay strong. That all goes into desiring that sensitive milk. And the growing into that spiritual man to remain focused in the end times. We can't get weary at the end. This is where you might be a fast runner, but you gotta endure the right things as well. That's why this is sound doctrine, healthy doctrine. You gotta endure the right things as well. You can't go to the track man. You just ate a full course meal from McDonald's. No, you gotta endure. You gotta build yourself up. And this now understand this food. Of course, you gotta maintain. When you want to get fruits and you want to build yourself up, work out things that such too, right? But in a sense, speaking in the word and the truth about how this our strength. This our food. This what we build ourself up. Our protein, our strength. This is what builds us up. This is our sword, right? This is what in those times is what's gonna help us get through, right? And we can't get weary at the end, because this is what's gonna build us up to keep that. Matter of fact, before I read that, let's read this real fast, just real quick. 1 Peter 1:9. It says, "Receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls." Right? So keeping that faith to the end is how we're gonna be delivered, right? It's 1 Peter 1:9 in the NLT, right? It says the reward for trusting Him will be the salvation of your soul. So keeping that faith to the end is going to be the reward for trusting Yahushua, right? And it also come with the works as well, which we're going to go into, this labor of love. This another thing me and the brothers was mentioning, right? The love. If you love, what does the script say? You love me, feed my sheep. In the paraphrase, the labor of love is what? These lessons you can't get rid of. The lessons you can't get rid of with study. You can't get rid of with making videos. Man, this around the time you got to be at an all-time high with it, on it every day. And remember, everybody not gonna make 5-6 videos a day. Everybody, most time ain't dealing with everybody the same way. Some people are more than the others. So the lot that you were given, you got to strive in that daily. If you were 2 videos a day, 2 videos a day. If you 1 video a day, 1 video a day. You know what I'm saying? Just stay focused, man. Right? So this is Hebrews 6, starting at verse 10. It says, for Yahweh is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love. It's a labor of love, man, right? Which ye have showed toward his name, and that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister, right? You know, because this that do work, do deals to make your call and election sure, right? Verse 11 says, we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope and to the end, that ye be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises, right? So be not slothful, man, right? Because we got to get that due diligence. Remember, you know, like once again, like Elder Apostle Hart said, you know, us doing this work, us putting this faith, the Most High not going to forget our labor, our labor not in vain. They give us a good chance to be of that elect, be of the hopeful elect, man. It gives us a good chance to be that. But if you're not putting the work, if you at the end, you getting weary, you don't got no chance to even win this race, man. You know, we all running the race, but if you getting weary at the end, if you ain't pushing at the end, you ain't even gonna land in the top 5, man. You ain't even gonna go to the next round. You gonna flunk out first heat. You know, that's track talk. You know, you running track. You got the heats, and at the end, they time about the time, the best time from all the heats, and it be the big race. You know, right? But you know, you gotta stay focused. You gotta put that work. Whatever it come in, remember you're gonna have this temptation trying to get you in all type of ways. Most time might put you on the job, but this job, you might get this job might be taking too much time from the, you know, Satan trying to make you feel like you tired, right? Every day you get out of work, you feel like you can't get a lesson done. You know, this woman might be always bugging you. You don't got time. She want to do, man, you gotta, let them know, hey, this truth coming forward all. Nothing should pull you away from the kingdom, man. Nothing should take your mind off being focused on the kingdom, right? It says, I'm going to read verses 11 and 12 again. It says, we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end, that ye be not slothful, man. You can't be slothful, right? It says, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promise, right? It's another precept going into that slothful. I want to say it's in Romans, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right here, Romans 12 and 11. Right? It says, matter of fact, I'll start at verse 10. It says, be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love and honor, preferring one another, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, man. You know, you can't be slothful, man. Right? You can't be slothful in this thing, right? Let's read both of those in NLT. We'll read Romans first, then we'll read the Hebrews, right, in NLT. This thing want to move slow for some reason, man. I don't know what's going on. So this is Romans 12. This is Romans 12, verse 10 and 11 in NLT, right? It says, oh yeah, I like it in NLT con. It says, love each other with genuine affection. This is Romans 12 and 10. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. Verse 11, never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically, right? So never be lazy, man. Serve the Lord enthusiastically. When these times going on, we got to be, because we knowing when certain things go down, we know we close to the end. It's just hype us up. Of course, in the flesh, you're going to feel certain, because the heart deceivers is going to make you feel like, dang, bro, I should do this because look where they going. Hey, it's okay. Because in the end, they don't speak. In the end, they going to understand. They ain't get it. It wasn't meant for them to get it. You got to understand what the Lord is calling you to do, man. It's a calling from the Lord, right? You know, so we got to never, verse 11 again, it says, I'm going to read verse 12 as well. It says, never be late, Romans 12 and 11. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Rejoice in our confident hope. Be patient in trouble and keep on praying, man. Right? Keep on praying. You know? Right? So let's read this Hebrews. Let's read this Hebrews 6 and 10. Then we'll close out in Galatians, right? In NLT, right? So this Hebrews 6, starting verse 10, NLT says, for Yahweh is not unjust. He will not forget how hard you have worked for him and how you have shown your love to him by caring for other believers, as you still do. But once again, you know, if you love me, feed my sheep. Your labor is not in vain, man, right? It says, our great desire is that you will keep on loving others as long as life lasts, in order to make certain that what you hope for will come true. We hope to be of their elect, why we call it the hopeful elect. Hope to be of their elect to inherit the kingdom of Yahweh Shem Shah. So we keep this same work, keep this same going. You can't get weary at the end. This is around the time you got to get enthusiastic. This is around the time you want to hype up. This is around the time when you come around that curve, every single track on that line, they pushing. Chest out, they running hard. This is around the time you want to put it all on the line, man. Right? It says, then you will not become spiritually dull and indifferent. Instead, you will follow the example of those who are going to inherit Yahweh promises. Because of their faith and endurance, Yahweh promises bring hope, right? You know, so that faith and endurance, man, right? You know, well, we might title lesson, you know, faith and endurance, right? Faith and endurance. You got to keep faith. You got to have endurance. Endurance is being able to run for a long time, being able to stay at it. You can't get weary at the end, right? You can't get weary at the end, man, right? So let's go ahead to Galatians, right? Go ahead, Galatians verses. What if I'm just go to a new parallel Bible? I normally want to read it in NLT as well. Galatians 6. I want to say it's around about verse. Doing that's what I want. Galatians 6:9. Okay. So we'll start here verse 8. Galatians 6 and verse 8. It says, "For he that soweth to his flesh shall the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall the Spirit reap life everlasting. Let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not," man. Right? You know, because the other up says you reap what you sow. So we put in righteous work, we doing the righteous thing. We just read you how about Shem is not, you know, he's not unjust to forget the work we put in behind his name. He's not unjust to forget the labor of love. What you doing, man? Right? Verse 9 again says, "Let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." Right? So let's read right here in verse Galatians 6 and 8. Galatians chapter 6, verse 8 and 9 in NLT. It says, "Those who live to only satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from that sinful nature. But those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit," man. That's self-explanatory. Verse 9 says, "So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap and harvest of blessings if we don't give up," man. So you can't get weary at the end, right? You can't get weary at the end. You can't fall off at the end, man. You gotta remain, you know, focused, man. Right? Going to the word weary real fast, you know, feeling or showing of extreme tiredness, especially as a result of excessive exertion, reluctant to see or experience any more of tired of, right? You know, right? So it's tired, you quit, you give up. You can't give up. You got to remain focused, right, until the end. So don't get weary at the end, man. You know, faith and endurance, right? So with that being said, Lord willing, right? Hold the lessons edifying and exalting, right? To the brothers, you know, to the brothers, you know, the sincere Bakarium, right? That's the election to the sincere Akim and Aqua, you know, and the children as well, you know. So with that being said, you know, Lord willing, hold the lessons edifying and exalting. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom.